Welcome to another episode of #TellMeYourStory. My name is Danielle, and today I am flying solo as host because our lovely co-host Rhiannon is going to be in the hot seat and is going to be sharing her journey with us. How are you today, Rhi?
I'm good, feeling good about today's episode. Love it.
You looking forward to sharing your story?
Yeah, I love sharing my story. I never used to, but I do love sharing it because it's empowering.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've loved starting to share my story, and the more people I share it to now, the better feeling I get, because it's just that reaction on their face, isn't it? It's when they realise, especially someone who's in the same position, like going through what you've gone through, and you can see it clicking in their head. Well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And it's just that realisation.
Yeah, you get more passionate as well. Like the more times you say it, and like the more people see it, and that you just get more passionate every time. And people are like, I can see it in you. I can see how passionate you are, and I love that.
The first time I spoke was at annual conference with my job with St. Giles. Once a year, the whole company get together. And when you start and come through the peer advisor course, they get the option to go up on stage and do your testimony. That was my first experience. I think it was yours as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Public speaking. And about your journey, like something so personal.
I'd done obviously one before that, but it was only like literally little. Obviously, St. Giles was my proper one.
Yeah, and that was it for me. That gave me the go, and I just wanted to go around and tell everybody. And it's mad, like the reactions I've had from sharing my stories is, I suppose, it's given me back the self-confidence that I've lost all the years.
Yeah, definitely.
And now gives you the opportunity to feel good about something so bad in your life, isn't it?
Something so negative, and now it's been turned into a positive. Like when you do that speech, because I know you've done it, like when people start cheering you, and I couldn't breathe my first couple of sentences. I literally couldn't breathe. But as I got further down, like people were cheering and they were like buzzing for me, and that was it. Like as soon as it was done, I was getting excited. I was excited for the whole day. I wanted to get back up and be a host, and start hosting it, you know. But this is what's led me to kind of get excited about telling my story more.
Yeah.
I was being abused, but at that point I was kind of young and I didn't really know.
Do you mind if I ask if it was physical or sexual?
Sexual.
Right.
But that led on for quite a while. And that is what's led me to change, have a lead to chaotic life. But
did you tell anybody about what was going on?
No, that's what made me flip, because I kept it all into myself. So from, that young age up until I was 17, I didn't say anything for.
Wow.
Yeah, so 11 years?
Jeez, so that's a huge secret to keep, isn't it?
It was.
So what was going on in your life, during the time of keeping this secret? What did it do to your life?
So my life was chaotic. I was going out. I was not going to school. I started smoking at the age of 8, and that was the start of me kind of rebelling badly. I was rebelling on everything my mum was saying, and my mum always kept saying oh, you're so naughty, but when she found out, she understood, obviously, but. Yeah, so my life just turned upside down, to be honest. I wasn't going to school, and then when I got to about 14, my mum seriously got ill, and I had to physically leave the home. And so I literally held onto the radiators, and I was like, you ain't ripping me from my mum. I was devastated.
Well, obviously your mum was ill, you're scared, and what was you being sent to family?
Yeah, so I got sent to family, but what the interesting thing is that nobody told me what was going on with my mum. I remember laying in bed with my mum, not going to school, and stroking her hair while she's being sick. But nobody told me in the process, so I'm trying to deal with what I've gone through. I've just been ripped away from my home, taken to England. Yeah, it was with family, but I felt so alone.
Yeah, of course. They're not your immediate family either. Are they what you're used to?
Well, when I got there though, it was secluded. Now, I did enjoy it a little bit because my schooling, I was in top sets, smashing school up in England, and it was a really good school. I can say that it was brilliant. But that changed because I come home from school one day and they told me I'm moving next door to my dad that I hadn't seen for years. So that gave me anxiety. I was like I'm doing well in school and now I'm being ripped out of another school. But obviously they had to move for reasons. So I dealt with that, goes down there and moves, and it just turned chaotic down there. No,
Right.
so what happened was is that I went to a Welsh school, and this girl got chosen to like take me around the school because I was new. And then I met these group of girls and I got on with them. But this one girl, she was like, "Oh, I'm meeting my boyfriend after school. Do you want to come down with me?" I was like, "Oh, that'd be lovely. I haven't got no friends. It'd be lush." And we went down there and they were two older men and like I'm looking like what the hell. Anyway, so I just went with it because I didn't know where I was going, where I was and that. And yeah, we went in this house and she was kind of doing stuff with this man and like I kind of went to go to the toilet and this guy is obviously, grabbed me and had me in the kitchen. But after that, it kind of went a blur. But all I remember was the police getting me out of the shed, and that was it. That's all I remember then after that, because it just went, my brain went blank.
Yeah, so you just mentally blocked that.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what happens with traumatic. And they said that after you come off the drugs anyway, you had PTSD a bit later anyway. So that would have all contributed to that, wouldn't it? So after that then, so that was 15. My God, that's a lot to go through with 15.
I know.
So you was 15, you left school, like, so what happened
I left
after
school
that?
then, and then my life turned chaotic.
Again?
Yeah, so like I'm just partying with everyone I met. Like the people I'd met when I was younger, I kind of, when I went away and come back, I kind of met all them again. And they were all older boys, and I'm out partying with them, going to raves and doing all that stuff, and literally blocking everything out, but just taking party drugs.
Well, like E and...
like, pills, acids, like the list could go on.
Anything.
But, just anything. Anything that the people had, I was like, yeah, let's go. I was up for anything then, like just to go out and just to take my mind off everything, because my brain as a child was just racing all the time, overthinking constantly, and then it got to a point where I think my brain just cut off, and it was like I didn't give
a fuck.
Yeah, I just didn't give a fuck. Like I literally couldn't give a fuck about myself, and then obviously it spiraled. But I did try and get help. So obviously, after that, I had at this time I'm still keeping this secret. And then obviously when I got to 17 then, and I'd come home on drugs this one time. I think I was like a little bit off my face, and I thought, you know what, I gotta say something. And I planned it. Like I was like, I gotta say something. I gotta get off my chest. And in the end, I just went straight to my brother's ex-girlfriend, and I said something to her straight away. Don't know why, but she was that person. I thought I gotta get off my chest, and she was like, I can't keep that in. Like you have to go tell your mum now.
That's why you chose her, because you sort of knew that telling her was going to bring it out.
Maybe, because then
she wasn't going to keep that secret from you.
Yeah, maybe. Deep down I knew that, because she wouldn't have kept that secret. That is a big secret, And my mum found out, and obviously she flipped. The whole family flipped when they found out. So after that then.
Well, I suppose you wouldn't have had a lot of trust in services after everything.
No, so when I tried to get help, when I was 17, I went through to Landoc, and they had like they were helping under 18s with stuff like that. I think I went to one session and I was like, what the fuck is this? Literally like sitting there, and I was like, no, I ain't doing this. But then maybe it's because I wasn't ready, and then I turned 18, and then they sent me a letter saying, oh, we can no longer help you. And it's like, oh yeah, nice one, because I'm 18, no longer can help me.
And sadly, that's still happening in a lot of places today with youth services, isn't it? Like as soon as they turn 18, it's like cut off, they can't support them anymore. Which is one good thing about St. Giles, I suppose, is that they have them other projects.
Yeah,
where you can,
with a wide range of how old you can be.
Yeah, definitely. And it is quite sad, like, even though they didn't really give you much support anyway beforehand, did they? So when you come 18 and they're telling you, well, they can't help you no more.
Yeah.
Was it that much of a shock to you anyway? Because it doesn't look like you've got much support at all.
No, I didn't. And I still spiraled out of control at that age. So I was like 18, and so 18, 19, 20, maybe about 4 years, I spiraled out of control then and then Okay, so I was in abusive relationships. So in those years that I just said about the gaps, I think I'd been in a few relationships and they were domestic.
Domestic violence.
Yeah, domestic violence. So physical as well and mental, I suppose, but more physical. So I was in those, and I think it comes to a point where I'd had one bad relationship when I was 17, and I didn't kind of understood it. And then I'd had another one, and then literally as I got to, I think the last relationship in 2015, like, I think I could see myself actually nearly dying. It got to the point where I thought I'm either going to die here, or I need to get out. Yeah, so when he said, "Oh, let's go and get wrecked," I was like, okay. I didn't think he meant heroin. And we walked into this house and they were smoking heroin in there. And I was like, okay. And he was like, "Oh, why don't you try this?" And I did try it, and I kind of smoked it then throughout the night with them. But I don't remember from a certain time. So from a certain time, I just remember like waking up. So I must have been like quite wrecked off it. But in the morning, I woke up and I felt so ill. I phoned my mum and she was like, "Oh, come home," and stuff like that. But 3 months, and it got to a point where I'd used all my resources. We'd sold cars, and we had done so many things to try and get money for our habit. And I think I remember doing withdrawals for the whole weekend, like I said. Withdrawals, and on the Monday I started using again, and it was at that point then in my time, my life, I had to turn it around. So I got out, I dropped his child off to school, and I ran straight to my mum, and she didn't believe me, but I was like, "I've got my own money, I really want to change, please can you take me back?" And at that point she was like, "Yeah, I will." And I changed my life. But when I'd gone home, obviously getting on to, so I think it turned out that I went to Fodder because I had a charge.
Yeah.
I think it was like I got arrested twice, and the first time they were meant to give me a slip to go to the Fodder, but they didn't. The police just released me. The second time, they made sure a woman come in and made sure that I had appointment. I think it was like the following Monday or the Monday after, and that's when then I had changed my life. So I got onto Fodder, stayed at my mum's. My mum was coming to Fodder with me, but I had to get all these tools in place. So I had to do all these courses like Journey Beyond Abuse, living life to the full, to regain my confidence, self-esteem, even motivation. I done mind, at and fro, like I just said, Journey Beyond Abuse. I had to do all these courses to understand things again, and because I'd started taking heroin again, it blocked a lot out.
Yeah.
So I had to go to all these different mental health teams, and I remember actually sitting there one day and I had a call off, I think it's the primary mental health team. They'd said, "Rhiannon, we cannot offer you no more. You have done everything to get all these tools back in place, and everything that, there was nothing they could offer me anymore."
You've done everything.
Done everything, literally. But that shame and guilt of all that is really, really hard.
Yeah.
But for them to say to me, "You can't offer no other support, no other help," it's like, well, what else can I do? And that's when then I progressed in thinking, right, well, I need maybe to do something educational, or I need to get my brain learning and doing something, because I sat there for so long doing nothing.
So was this after all you doing all these courses? Was this after you've done the intense therapy? So like once you had dealt with stuff, you could.
Yeah, so I'd done the intense therapy before, but then I'd done the therapy for 12 weeks, like I said, with New Pathways, and she was the woman that really, really helped me grow in myself.
And that was where it started.
Yeah,
then.
that's where I started like growing in myself, really, and blossoming, as I like to say.
So all that trauma that you hadn't dealt with in your life, now you had dealt with it.
Yeah.
Then I suppose it lit the fire inside you to turn your life around.
It did, and that's when I was like, "Oh, Mum, like, I love you to pieces, but I need to move out here now. Like, I love living here, but it's about time now I live independently. And that was my next step from there. My next step was, right, okay, I've done all these courses. I feel like I've grown enough. I feel ready to move out.
And when was this? 2018, 2019?
No, I moved out in 2021.
Ah.
Yeah, so 2021 I moved out.
Because during the lockdown, that was what helped you stay in, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so then obviously I couldn't get into nowhere because of the lockdown and that. And then I think I'd gone on to floating support. And I was meant to actually go in the Woolwich. But I didn't end up going in the Woolwich because Pobble, which she won't mind me naming her, Stacey, she fought for me. She had heard my story. I think she spoke to me twice. And she fought for me to get into a self-contained flat instead of in the Woolwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was Stacey, that one person for you?
That one person that believed in me. Literally, she spoke to me twice and she was like, you've got something in you that you can help others, you can support others and support them through their journeys. And that was it for me. That was a light bulb moment.
Someone believing in you.
Yes.
And it's mad, isn't it? Because when you go through them years of being on drugs, and I suppose after all the trauma, and all the domestic violence as well, you probably didn't have much belief in yourself and much love for yourself.
I didn't at all.
And thinking everybody hates you, everybody's negative, you know. You live through negative lens, don't you? So to have somebody believe in you, what did that feel like?
It was just amazing. Like I said, it was like a light bulb moment for me. It was like, okay, I deserve to be here. I deserve to, I deserve to actually find a job and, and be happy and have my own place and feel comfortable. But at that point I was so low in confidence, I didn't feel like I deserved any of that. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't feel like I deserved, a good relationship or just a good home or good friends. I felt like I didn't deserve all that because of what I'd done. But when I had kind of got so I had disowned my best friends because I knew they had kids and they didn't like to see me like that. But when I had come out of all these dark times, I got all my best friends back. So it was Stacey believing in me, and then all my friends believed in me. So I just felt part of something again. I felt like I belong. Yeah. That's the word. I felt like I belonged there, and and Stacey helped me through just silly little things, as I call them now. But when you move into supported accommodation, you've got to do stuff like agorids, which means you've got to know where your water clock is and just all the stuff that
all
about
the essentials you need to know when you have your own place. And
even budgeting stuff. Now, I was always in a minus for budgeting because I was awful, because I used to live next to takeaways. I was awful. But
awful.
Yeah, she used to help me with stuff like that and all those things. And even with her just coming down and saying, sometimes I'd go, I can't do this, or I can't do this phone call, and I'd be on the phone, so I can't do this, and my anxiety and whatever. She'd be like, yes, you can. Sit down, take 10 minutes, and, think about it, and just get it done. And she just kind of encouraged me, and then it got to a point where it was I was just doing it on my own then, and just smashing it. But she was that one person that believed in me, and she helped me a lot. And she's still a friend now, though. Very close.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And it is nice, isn't it? Because I know I've popped into a few people who supported me along the way, and it's their faces when they see you, it's oh, you're still
I know.
And it is nice to go back and show them, give them that recognition for the work they did. And because it is some amazing support places.
Yeah, they don't get many, they do get good stories, but I've heard a lot of them say when they see people progressing so well, you're going from one extreme to the next, they love it and they want to be proud, and they get passionate then as well.
So what happened then from the supported housing place?
So from supported housing, and it was hard living in supported accommodation, I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot going on, so I was in between two people. There was a lot of drug activity out there, a lot of kicking off, police and all that. But luckily I was in recovery, so I was really, really strong. And but for anybody else, they could have actually gone down the wrong route in that supported accommodation, because when you're in recovery and you've got people offering you drugs, if you wasn't that strong, you probably would take it. But luckily I was strong enough. But from there, I had to bid. So from supported accommodation, then you go on to Gold Plus in Barry. I don't know whether it's different from different areas wherever you're watching. But for Barry, you go on to Gold Plus. So I got onto Gold Plus and bidded for a property. The first time I didn't get it because, which I didn't think was fair, was because of my criminal history. Because I was literally, I had been arrested. It was like just under 2 years, something stupid, but it was because the court case took a year or something. So literally, they said, I was like 4 months off. So they said if you had been 2 years, you could have moved into the property.
And it's ridiculous.
And I thought it set me back a little bit. I kind of gone off back on my confidence. I was like, whoa, I'm never going to get nowhere. And I did actually get emotional over that. And I sat there and I was like, oh, I'm not going to get a place because of my criminal history. But one did come up, and it's where I'm living now, and I did get accepted. But from being accepted into my new property now, I think I got accepted in the October, and I couldn't move in there because it wasn't suitable for me to live in. So I went and stayed with my mum for a month. But then she got ill, and sadly I had to ring an ambulance, and 2 days later she has sadly passed away. So, and then I had to move. I had to stay in my mum's property for a month, and then move from my mum's to move into my place.
Jeez, that must have been...
So I had a good support network around me, and luckily, if I didn't, there probably could have been a slip,
Yeah, of course. It's things like this. Like life goes on when you're in recovery, doesn't it? And when things happen, you automatically revert back to that negative behaviour because that's what isn't it? So it's an easy thing to relapse. It's just you've got to be aware of your behaviours and stuff, haven't you?
Definitely.
To not relapse. So that must have been really. That's shows how much you've grown.
Yeah.
And how strong you've become. So that is amazing that you can go through. Because you and your mum were very close, weren't
Very close, yeah, we were best friends. I was probably home, in my supported accommodation, I was probably home 3 days a week, maybe 2, and I was there at my mum's for the rest of the time. And we'd do movie nights every night. I think we'd watch the whole Netflix.
Yeah, that's nice,
literally.
isn't it?
But yeah.
So what was you doing, with your life at that time?
When my mum passed away?
Yeah, during that time, were you doing anything else in your life?
So my mum had passed away, and I was currently working for Wales Restorative Approach Partnership, and I was working for them, and I had to take a bit of time off work to kind of process it, and I'm the one that done all the funeral arrangements and stuff like that, so I had support, but I was the one that was dealing with everything. So I had to deal with everything, as well as trying to live. So I was able to stay in my mum's for 1 month, but it don't happen in a month. It took so long to sort out, the little things that you never think you have to deal with when a parent dies or a family member dies. There's so much you have to deal with, which I didn't realise. But I had to be strong. And what sticks with me is because my mum told me, I love you, stay strong, please, because we'd had conversations before, like if we'd watched something on telly and someone died of a family member, I get emotional, and she'd be like, stop being stupid. And I'm like, Mum, if you ever died, I don't know what I'd do. And she'd be like, no, you stay strong, you would stay strong. And she always told me that if she ever passed away, you have to stay strong, and I have, because I've got a lot to lose. I don't want to lose all that. And I don't know, I did feel bad at first, because I always, at first it was like I felt guilty for being so strong, if you know what I mean. Like my brother's breaking, and I felt I did
you
break.
weren't grieving properly.
Yeah, but I am grieving my own way,
Yeah,
so I cry on my own and stuff like that, and I grieve my own way. But I've dealt with it so different. But you've
had a recovery to think about as well, haven't you?
And that's what I've had to take over.
Recovery comes first.
Yes.
And that's exactly the way your mum would have wanted it.
Yes, and I know she would have, even though I did feel guilty at first, but I had to, because, to lose all what I've done would be just a shame, I've come so far.
So
I had done the peer peer advisor in 2021. My mum had passed in 2022. So after the peer advisor, I think I had started volunteering with SVP Grand Avenue.
Right.
So, and that's how I got a job with Wales.
Restorative justice.
Yeah.
Right. So they were just stepping stones then. So
Yeah.
the peer advisor course, was that giving you that qualification, helped you move into?
Yeah, so it helped me just know that all what experience I've been through, I can kind of help others, but I couldn't just jump straight into a job. I felt like doing a bit of volunteering. That's why I volunteered in the SVB Grand Avenue project, and I was going there while probation were going there, because obviously that was the role I wanted to go into. So I was going there when probation were there. I was meeting and greeting the clients, offering teas and coffees, just a chat and stuff like that. And that's how then the restorative, they come in and they were working with SVP, and that's how I got a job as a peer mentor then.
That's amazing.
It was like, this is what I want to do, and it just fitted so right. It just felt so right. At first I was anxious, so when I was like volunteering and stuff like that, I was kind of like quite quiet and just trying to find my feet a little bit. But I think they could see my growth, where from when I first went into like even now, like I'm so different. I've grown, and I just feel more. I'm trying to think of the words. I feel more. I can't think of the words. Like I know I can, whole, but I know I can do the job now. Whereas before I wasn't so sure.
Confident.
That's the word. I wasn't so confident if I could actually do this role. But as the time has gone on of being a peer mentor or a volunteer, and as the time's gone on, I know this is the job that suits me.
I love my job. I never thought that I would find a job where I skip to work every day, because it doesn't feel like work.
No,
it don't. Do you want to tell the viewers a bit about like what you're doing today?
So currently as a caseworker for St. Giles. So obviously employed now, caseworker full-time, 35 hours a week, killer. But yeah, but yes, it's a very big transition from part-time to full-time, not going to lie, but no, I love it. I literally, some days I wake up and I'm like, oh, can't bother today. And I'm not going to lie, some days are like that. It's like, oh, I can't bother today, but when you get to St. Giles and you get in the office, after so long, your worries go and you end up having a laugh and you end up just getting on with the day, and then the time's gone. You're like, oh, what? Sometime already.
So St. Giles Trust is known now throughout the UK about their lived experience model and how they employ people with lived experience.
Yeah.
So have you had a positive experience working with St. Giles? Like, have they supported you with like what's going on in your life and trained you properly? Do you feel like your lived experience is accepted? And
definitely, I when I first went in, not everyone there has lived experience, and I love the fact that we just all work so well. As I'm no different to anybody else. That's how it feels. You're just part of the office. You're part of the group. And when I first went there, it was just like family. You can speak to, you kind of, you can speak openly and safely, and that's the best thing, really.
It is, isn't it? And I suppose that's why I love working there, and I don't think I'll ever move from there.
No. Just from project to project.
Yeah, I found a place where I belong now, and it's the first place I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Feeling accepted.
Yeah, acceptance. Yeah.
I've never felt that before anywhere else, and especially when you can sit there and turn around and say, when somebody talked about a few years ago, and I can turn around and say, I was probably sat in a crack house then, and like everyone will just laugh and no one will judge you for it. They'll be like, oh, you're mad, Dan.
Yeah.
And it's just,
and you're not judged for that.
No, and yet still then, and they have a problem with a client, say like someone who's suffering with addiction, we're the first people that they come to get advice off.
Yeah, because
what we say is respected and valued, isn't it? And that, I think that is key.
It is a big part when you're being valued and respected, and like even to our knowledge, it's just all what we've been through. So we just kind of like do things that we didn't do, so we know now, don't we? We're a bit more knowledgeable to kind of help these people. But I love it. I do. Like I've noticed the connection from when you speak to when you speak to a client and you say, well, they kind of like standoffish, and then when you say, well, I've been where you are, mate, I've been at that lowest, you know, I've been in the criminal justice system, I've done this and done that, and they're like, oh, right, okay. And then they're kind of like, oh, that gives me a bit of hope.
Yeah.
And that's all we want, really, is give them hope so they know that it is doable and you can do it.
I love it when I first
I
meet
know.
a new client, whether it's a young person or an adult, and you get that sort of attitude when you first meet them, oh, here's another person trying to meddle in my life, in it, and then you start chatting with them, and I'll be like, oh shit, well, what? I've been in prison, like I've done this, and they're like, what?
I know.
And especially when I tell them about the addiction part, and they're like, how did you? And when you do tell them, you can see like the clock's ticking in your head,
because they're thinking, okay, you've lived that chaotic life, then I can get out of it. Because if you, it's just, it is giving them hope. You're just showing them that you've been through all these processes, all these feelings, like trauma, you know, all these stuff, and you've come out of it, and they can see how strong you are and how passionate you are, and you know, you're coming across and you're like, well, I've been there, done that, you know, and I can now help you.
Yeah.
And then they see it, and then they're like, okay, and then you start to see well, that's building your relationship and your rapport with them then, isn't it? And that's when you get your relationship with them then. Well, I don't know. Well, of course, obviously I want this podcast to grow, you know, get it out there as much as we can, just do as much as we can. But as my own life, you know, there are things in process, so I'm not going to say too much at the moment, but there is a lot of good things happening at the moment. Well, hopefully, you know, good things. But I think for the future, I'd love maybe, I don't know, I love my job, so I don't see me changing it.
No.
Like, I love staying here. Like, I might change projects, maybe like change it up a bit, you know, like you have. You've gone from from the male to the women now. So like, I wouldn't mind doing that maybe one day, like kind of changing it up a bit, but I really want to stay with St. Giles if I can.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever want to apply for another job with an organisation because I don't know how I'm going to be accepted there. Whereas I know I'm accepted here.
Yeah, and you know you're valued, and all your opinions they are valued and respected.
Yeah, definitely.
And taken on board, and they do take it on board. Like, even when people ask me, I'm like this, and they're like, oh, and then they take that on board. And as long as they don't have to take it on board, but I think half of them, they take it on board, and they're like, okay, they can kind of see then, can't they?
Yeah. And like I've been able to be a part of your journey since you came on board with St. Giles and the peer advisor course, and it's been nice because myself and Kaz, we've sort of both been mentors to you, haven't we? And it's nice because this is our first experience of giving back to somebody who's come through. So somebody done it for us when we came into St. Giles, but now we sort of went on the same journey together, me and Kaz, with you. Yeah. And I suppose we've all become great friends out of it, haven't we? And I think it's nice now because you'll do the same now for the next bunch that's coming up. And
true.
I get, like, even when I helped you apply for the full-time role, and then you got it, and it was like, I felt like I got the job, like, for myself. And
I know.
It was amazing.
You were screaming with me on the phone.
I know. And
yeah, so like I probably would have changed the fact that I kept everything to myself. That would be my biggest thing, because I think me holding all that back, suppressing it all, made me worse. So I think, you know, if there are people going through stuff like that, like, just talk to someone, even if it's just a close friend, or, you know, even someone that's not a close friend, just speak to someone. But other than that, I think kind of like I'm only here to kind of give hope and share my story, and hope that people do see it and kind of get inspired by it and know that there is a way out. Whatever you do, you just kind of got to regrow yourself again. But yeah, I'm here to just tell my story and, you know, give hope to people.
And I'm not being funny, but since the first time I met you, I've watched you grow into a woman.
Yeah.
You've really blossomed. The way you look, how healthy you are, what you're doing with work and everything, and it's been absolutely amazing. So just want to thank you for sharing your story, because what you've been through is absolutely horrendous, and to come out the other side You really do deserve a pat on the back. It
Oh,
was
thank you.
absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So on that good note, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we would like to thank our viewers and our subscribers for watching and joining, and we will see you in the next episode.